Cry Freedom soundbite number... Ooh, where are we up to? I think it's 33, which is quite ironic actually. Okay, 33. Tuesday, the 10th of October, 2017. That's actually 3 10s in that date. You got the 10th of the 10th, and 2017 comes to 10. Interesting. Well, felt the need to do one because there's been so much happening, hasn't there? And so much coming at me again, from all directions. Well, we've had Las Vegas, and we've had London again. Yeah. The merry-go-round is going extremely fast at the moment, shall we say. And there is so much getting held at people now, it's just off the scale, isn't it? It is at the surreal stage now. But I tell that because I'm seeing things so differently now from the way that I used to, and everything that's coming at me from other places is telling me that this is the right way to see it. And again, it's more about observing than letting yourself be sucked into the energy that these things are designed to take away from you. It's about not giving your consent to that and saying that you will allow that to happen. And that's very much resonating with me at the minute. So we've had the Las Vegas thing, and again, there's so much talk and speculation about what that was. Now, I don't think there's any denying the ritualistic side of that is just, again, off the scale. Some of the stuff I've been watching recently, and it's all there. You know, the date it happened, the 32nd floor story, his brother living at number 32. Oh no, it just goes on and on and on. And it's very easy to get drawn into the negativity of these things. And as someone said recently, it's almost like they want everybody to be taken over by these things, even if they're looking at the so-called other side of it. It's consuming them with energy, and even just talking about it is still, even though you think you get what it is still giving that energy away. And I get that. And as for the London thing that happened on the 7th, my God, what can you say? It's just, what a farce. I was watching that I actually watched the BBC News that actually gritted my teeth and put it on about 2 hours after it allegedly, this thing happened. At 14:20, which comes to 7, of course, and it was on the 7th, and there's so many 7s involved, it's, again, ridiculous. But the BBC News, the way they were going on about this incident that apparently turned out it seemingly was just a road traffic incident. But the way that they were hyping it up on this broadcast, and they've got everybody now so ready to sort of jump on these things. Everybody's so that they're scared of a paper bag, as I said, blowing down the road at the minute because of the hype that everything's getting and the frenzy that the media are creating around all of these things. And it's not surprising. And I had to laugh because the woman on the BBC was sort of on the news bulletin was going on about and people seem to be reacting very strongly to this. And I'm like, yeah, I wonder why. Come on. And it does seem now that they're saying that it was just a road traffic accident, even though all these people were restraining this man that was apparently driving the car on the pavement. And it's just, again, all the things around it. And I did a post on this yesterday on Facebook about all the numerology and the facts around it, and the names, and even the name of the car and the name of the roads that took place in, and the museums that were there, and all these different things. And it's just so obvious. Again, I think that's what they wanted. Even by doing that, we're still giving it that energy, and I realise that now. And I realised it last night because I listened to something last night that there's a guy on, he's a bit of a zany character actually, a guy on YouTube that comes under the name of One Harmony, and I think he's Canadian. I'm not sure if he's American or Canadian, but there's a slight Canadian lilt there. And he's apparently somebody who goes by the name of Byron. I don't know what his second name is, but he was apparently involved in military stuff and black ops and all this kind of thing, and he's got a lot of inside information, he says, and some of the stuff he says is very fascinating. It's very much to do with creator-based stuff, and what he says the creator has initiated, and he's part of this initiation program, whatever you want to call it. And he's just got this way. He makes me laugh. Actually, he's one of these guys. Sometimes he niggles you, but sometimes he makes you laugh. And it's just that his style of delivery. But it's all very interesting, and a lot of it does resonate. And he was talking last night about a lot of this comes down to consent, which I've heard before, of course, and it makes a lot of sense. What it was basically saying was that the way that the people that run the show at the moment get away with what they do with regards to universal law, etc., is because people unknowingly, unwittingly, ignorantly, whichever way you want to look at it, give their consent to these things, again, without knowing, really. And because they do that, and because they get around it that way, they get away with it. Again, that resonated with me a lot. So it's about almost verbally saying, we do not consent to this, I will not allow this in my world because I do not consent to it, type thing. And I've just been reading an article that Neil Simpson's just put up on Facebook, and Neil is very much into analysing the sort of allegorical side of what's going on with regards to events out there, so-called events and numbers, etc., etc. And he's just done a very good post, actually, about the whole false flag, whatever you want to call it, hoax events and non-hoax events. And basically what he's saying is, and I totally agree, is that this has very much been used as yet another divide and conquer technique with the masses, in that they started a while back doing... A lot of the time these events were actually real and people were dying in the past, and it's still happening now. But they started a few years back doing some of these events that weren't real, and they were actually using actors, and people weren't actually dying. It was reported as if they were in the news, and because people believe everything they're told on so-called mainstream media, then people were taking it as being real. And this caused, even within the truth movement itself, let alone the people outside of it, arguments between people that were attacking others that were saying it wasn't real, and vice versa. And it's the same old flat earth globe thing, you know, that people fall for and start battling out between each other. Oh, God, you know, the way that our emotions are used so easily by these people that know exactly what to do. But anyway, very good article, that, Neil, and I've just forwarded it on. I watched a very good video after that as well, because the lady that I've started listening to recently that I've spoken about is Aurora Rainbow Lasagna, and I have to laugh every time I say that, but this woman, there is something about this woman. Her delivery's fantastic, the way she puts things. I listened to the one she did about, it's called Unhealthy Sex, and it's about what goes on with regards to the sexual energy and how that's used and abused. And the way she put it and the way she built upon it in this video was just fantastic, I thought. And I'm going to share that again today. I need to listen to her a lot more. But again, there's so much happening at the moment, and so many... There's this feeling of connection, I'm getting even stronger, and I've always had this, but at the moment it's overflowing with people that are in my sort of spectrum. I really feel this energy, this strong energy that's making a difference, and it's wonderful. I love it. And of course, one of the people very much involved in that is Robert Young, who I keep promoting. He's actually off to from America, going back to Australia for a break this week, so good luck on that with that, Robert. Have a good trip, and Barbara. But I love Robert, what he does, and he's so motivating and he's so inspirational, and it's such good energy, and that's why I love it, and that's why I share it. And again, we get back to this new ageism thing that people accuse others doing this kind of thing of, and I'm not taking that. There's that much negativity out there that we need all of these people to give us as much positivity as possible, and to try and motivate people and inspire them. And that's always what I've tried to do, and what I'll always continue to do. And we have to stay strong in this and believe in what we're doing. And I really do believe in what I'm doing. And I believe in what I'm going to be doing in the future, very much so. So it's about supporting each other. That's so key, because We're not infallible. You know, all of us get down. We all get pissed off at times, and even though we know it's not the way we're supposed to do it, we do it because we're just, at the end of the day, we are just human, aren't we? And we, you know, whatever human means. So this is why it's so important to bolster each other up and support each other. And I love that network of that. I really do. There's been so much of the other within this movement, and I've experienced that massively myself too, but it seems to be very much more the good side now, and the good people, you know, really coming forward and standing together, and that's wonderful. And as this One Harmony guy was saying last night, the battle certainly ain't over yet, but we're winning it. We really are winning it. And it's like, I love the way he put it actually. He was saying basically like the ones that are running the show at the moment, even though they seem to be kind of losing their grip, he says that they're hanging on tooth and nail because they're almost saying like, mate me type scenario. So, and that makes sense, I get that. So yeah, that was it really. So again, the same message, you know, hang in there. It ain't over yet, not by a long stretch. And I think there's lots more fun and games on the way. But if we can look at things in that different way, and again, you get accused. See, this is the other stigma, isn't it, of the way people worry about what other people think. If you start analysing these things and observing them above the reactive emotional stage, people accuse you of being hard-faced and uncaring and incompassionate. And that's not true. Uncompassionate even. That's not true. That's not true. It's far from that. It's actually trying to do the decent thing and not let these things suck you in the way that they're meant to. If people have died at these events, of course it's horrible. Of course it's tragic and terrible and evil. But if we pander to that emotion, it's a win-win for them. So that's why it's so important not to. And the more that we can stand above it, the more it's going to get to them, because we're not giving them that energy, we're not consenting to allowing them to feed off us. So I stand by that completely and utterly. So it's all good, it's all good. Say this still. If you watch the TV, you believe the world's gone to total pot, but then you watch the good side of some of the things that people are doing. Again, something I keep saying. You look at some of the wonderful work that people are doing out there, and how can we not feel good about us? We're incredible, we really are. And we have to keep instilling this within each other, how amazing we all are. And look at what we're all going through. Look at what the hell we're being put through with all of this. But we're still doing it, we're still fighting. So give yourselves a massive pat on the back, all of you, really. And that's why I did that video the other day, celebrating us, because, you know, we have to keep doing this. It's very important. So yeah, carry on, soldier on, guys, and let's just go for it, okay? Events that happen around us, I believe, are as a result of the collective, what they call the collective consciousness, which essentially means what most or the majority of people are thinking and feeling will create the biggest energy, and therefore that will create something that is life for us on Earth, essentially. So it's about controlling what you think, and obviously the people that control what we think at the moment are the ones that run the show, run the whole mainstream media that everyone watches. And this is what is being held at people both consciously and subconsciously, and this is the greater energy because most people go with it. And so the beauty is now that because more and more people are seeing this and getting it and looking beyond it and rising above it, then the energy is changing, because it has to, because of the fact it's a 100th monkey type thing again, because of the fact that more people are getting it. So, you know, it's still important for us, it's very much important for us to concentrate on ourselves and our own knowledge and education in reality, but it's also very important to still carry on spreading, you know, what you see as being the truth out there, because even if people don't seem to take it in initially, it will enter their consciousness in some way, and it will affect them at some point, that they will sort of start to see things differently, even if it doesn't always appear so at the beginning. So there you go. Right, I wanted to talk about also a video that Kai Bowman, another friend on Facebook, put out a few days ago, and he had a sort of a stark realisation, shall we say, in the early hours, and he woke up, he tends to wake up, as so many of us do, around the bewitching hour of 3 a.m, and I thought this was very interesting because somebody actually said that apparently around that time is when we start entering REM sleep, or REM sleep, and I thought that was very interesting, given that other people do say that that is when we can be most controlled, and even our consciousnesses can be taken over when we enter REM sleep, is a theory out there. So, that's very interesting that a lot of people do seem to be awake. A lot of people that see things differently do seem to be awake at that time, and I was wondering very much if there was a reason for that. Is that a sort of protection mechanism of some sort? Fascinating subject, anyway. But anyway, Kai got up and he woke up with these thoughts, and he immediately got up and did a video about it because it so affected him. And he was talking about the whole issue of love, essentially. And I actually did agree very much with what he was saying. You can actually see the full video if you go to his page on Facebook. But what he was saying was that he's always believed in love. It's always been a really big, important thing to him. But he's starting to see now a slightly different side to it, in that love is not that far from evil. And we've heard this before anyway, haven't we? It's when regards to people talk about love-hate relationships, etc. And he was saying that when you look at love, what it is an over accentuated emotion quite often. And when you're frightened of losing something, so love is fantastic, but when you're frightened of actually losing the thing that you love, it creates a fear. And that fear can go on to do evil deeds with regards to wars, etc. And there is a very, very valid point there, and I know a lot of people are talking about this at the moment. It is like realisations are coming to us more and more, and this is something we've been led to believe is true anyway, because of the changing in universal frequencies and energies. So yeah, and I'd go along with that. It is a very he was talking about, and I've heard this before, reaching the midpoint. Imagine a line, a straight line, and then you have frequencies that go above it in a wave, and then below it in a wave, and then above it, and then etc, etc. And the point to be is actually on the intersection of the wave and the line, and that is the point. It's like the circle thing as well, being in the middle of the circle as opposed to on the edges, where you get all the rough ride. And it's with regards to controlling our emotions in such a way that we don't let them badly affect what we do. So reaching that equilibrium, that point of equilibrium where we can control them. And it is more about observing than reacting. And I totally agree with that. And it's a very, very hard thing to do, as we all know, because we all get, we all react to things. And myself more than anyone, I've got this bloody firehorse Aries streak thing. And I know I'm always blaming that, but it is true. And I do tend to do that very much. And I am aware of it now, and I do try and control it, but it's not always easy. But I think he's actually, completely spot on with that. So it was a good video. Well done, Kai. I also wanted to talk about a video that I watched from another friend, Shona Home. I've spoken about Shona a few times and interviewed her a couple of times on shows. And Shona's a Canadian lady. She's a shaman and a beekeeper and a writer and a poet and so much more. And I watched one of her videos recently that she did. It was actually a talk that she gave to a small group of people, and it looked like it was on a farm. It was actually in a polytunnel, I think. And you could see these turkeys walking past all the time, which was quite amusing. So it was obviously near the turkey pen. But she did this really good talk on bees, because as I say, she is a beekeeper and she's very much into bees and bee venom, using bee venom as a therapeutic means. And it was a really interesting talk she did, all about bees, and I learnt some things that I didn't know. For a start, I didn't know that all of the workers are actually female in the hive. I didn't know that. Kind of makes sense, but yeah. And the drones tend to be male, and the queen, when the queens, there's usually a few queens that are actually born from eggs within the hive, and they have to have this battle then to see which one will survive as the fittest, as to deciding which one will be the one that runs the hive. And they actually sort of kill each other, and usually the one that hatches first has the greatest chance, and they actually sort of have these battles until one of them survives, which is a bit brutal. And the other thing which was a bit kind of brutal as well, and you won't like this one, chaps, but when the queen is about to mate, she flies up into the air, and the drone males follow her, and there's usually a few of them, and they mate with her in the air. But after they've finished their little act of pleasure, brace yourselves, their instrument of passion, shall we say, snaps off. And they actually fall to their deaths to the ground after that, and that's the price that they pay for that moment of indulgence. So yeah, a bit brutal as well, huh? But yeah, there was some really interesting information about bees, and I urge you again to have a look at that one. If you type in Shona Home and bees on YouTube, you'll get it, but that was really good. I also had a bit of a spat with Facebook this week, as people will have seen on my page. I don't know why this happened, but essentially I got banned from posting in my Cry Freedom, one of my Cry Freedom groups, for 6 days. And also banned from posting anything in any other groups for 6 days. And this is what they came up with, Facebook. This is what they said to me. They said, quote, "You may have used Facebook in a way that our systems consider unusual, even if you didn't mean to. You can post again in 6 days." So, well, you know what that would be like to me, the old red rag ball thing yet again. And it's basically what these people that control these things are saying to us is they have decided that we're not permitted to be unusual. And if we are in any way unusual, then we get punished for being that way. With regards to not being able to post. God, it's like being at bloody school, isn't it? So yeah, I had to smile in my frustration at that one because it was just incredible. Another thing they said was something about I'd not met the community standards or something like that. And anyway, I was trying to figure out why this was, and the only things I'd been posting stuff about the Las Vegas thing, which, okay, are probably controversial to some people, but, it's a free world, apparently. I'd been posting a lot about urine therapy because, as I've been explaining, I had a bad toothache and a very swollen gum, an infected gum, around a tooth that cracked a while ago, and I lost a lot of this tooth and the filling, but it had been okay until recently, and then I was starting to get some problems with this. So I started doing oil pulling with coconut oil to start with, and it did relieve the pain a lot, but it didn't seem to be dealing with the swelling as much as I'd hoped. And so I started using good old urine therapy as an oil pull, so it was a pee pull, essentially, as I called it. And that's basically involves swishing urine around your mouth for 20 minutes, and I was doing that about 2 to 3 times a day. And I tell you, as I was saying, it was getting better, and it's practically gone now. I can actually eat on that side of my mouth for the first time for ages. The tenderness in the tooth is gone, the infection's gone, and some people even say that teeth can actually grow back with this therapy, and I'm carrying on with it to see if that in any way comes about. So I don't know if it was because of that, because I was talking about that a lot. I was also talking about us all coming together, and I did that video about celebrating us. So these are the things that I've done, and for one of those things, I was banned, and somebody did say that it's because you've been reported, which may well be, but again, say someone did report me for something that they didn't agree with. Suddenly, because of that, Facebook decided with no consultation, discussion, or explanation to punish me and block me from doing, what should be a right for everybody. So again, to all those that think we live in a democracy, you just step out of line a little bit and you'll find out what things are really like. Anyways, so have a lovely week, everybody, and talk soon.